So, just bring that a little bit closer. Today's video is going to be reading you some spooky / creepy Reddit stories. I was inspired by Soft ASMR to film this. She recently filmed a spooky Reddit story video, and that was really good, so make sure to go check out her video. I can leave a link to it down below if you guys are interested, but definitely full credit to her and anyone else who has done this video idea before. Definitely not taking credit for it in any way. Hopefully the stories that I am sharing with you guys are ones that you haven't heard before and that you find to be interesting. So without further ado, let's just get into it. The first story, here's the title. I worked the night shifts at an isolated McDonald's drive-thru. I was given a list of rules to follow. During the summer break of my junior year of high school, I worked as a McDonald's employee. I was 17 and pretty naive at the time. I desperately needed money to add to my college fund. My parents did not plan it out so well, so there was a really high chance I wouldn't go to college if I didn't get a job. I was mostly busy during the whole day. I was a day person and wasn't very productive at night. During the day, I was either hanging out with friends, working out, studying, or learning and practicing for coding competitions to add to my portfolio. And usually at night, I wasn't doing anything. The most productive thing at night was just some plain old written homework. Because of the reasons mentioned above, and because of the fact that I did not sleep a lot at night, approximately about 3 to 4 hours, I decided to kill two birds with one stone and take a night shift job. That way I could get paid for doing absolutely zero mental work and get my homework done. I applied at a lot of places, but I have to admit I was a big fan of fast food, so fast food jobs were at the top of my priority list. So when I get a job at McDonald's, it was a no-brainer for me, or when I got a job at McDonald's. The McDonald's was located a bit on the outskirts of town, probably for travelers, but I didn't mind as long as I was getting paid, and it being isolated also meant there would be comparatively fewer customers, so I might even get a chance to squeeze in another hour of sleep. I got into my dad's car and went to the store. It looked pretty dreary. The outside walls had a bit of mold on them. I entered the small building to be greeted by a middle-aged man standing behind the counter. He greeted me with a smile and a nod of acknowledgement. He took me to the drive-thru booth where I would be receiving orders and explained how everything worked: the ice cream machines, the soft drink dispensers, and the fryers. And he had given a quick tour of the building. He brought me back to the counter, took a deep breath, and said, "Hey kid, do you believe in ghosts and stuff?" "No, but why do you ask?" I inquired. "I know I'm gonna sound absolutely insane for this, but you'll have to follow some rules while working here. Now I know all of them sound unbelievable, but trust me, they are as real as it gets. They could even cost you your life." I looked at him puzzled. "What are the rules? And has anyone been hurt or something?" I said. He pulled out his phone. He had multiple photos of teenagers who formerly worked here, but apparently ignored the rules and have gone missing since. "But why don't you go to the cops?" I asked him interrogatively. "Because no one believes me," he said, his voice getting shaky. "They conduct a full area search. They think I am insane." He almost burst into tears, but composed himself and begged me to follow the rules and take them seriously. I said that I would, and his face lit up. He handed me the list of rules, thanked me, and left. I reluctantly smoothed out the piece of paper and started reading. List of rules to survive a night. I don't know, that's some weird grammar there. Anyway, rule number 1, keep the lights on the drive-thru counter. Wear He will stop bothering you if you ignore his angry threats and drive away in a few minutes. If you speak to him, however, he is going to break into your booth and attack you like a wild animal. God knows what entity he is that can mimic a human voice so perfectly. Rule number 3. If someone orders fries, tell them you're all out because you do not want to open a bag of frozen fries at midnight. Trust me, the scent will attract unwanted attention and it'll end well for no one. Rule number 4. If you hear your name being called from behind you, stop everything you're doing, lay down, and close your eyes. You might feel teeth on your limbs or giant talons rubbing against your head or torso, but please do not move. It'll be gone after you hear a demonic giggling. Sorry guys, my cat is meowing a little bit, so you might hear a little bit of that in the background. Rule number 5. If you see a 5-year-old girl with no eyes standing in the driveway looking directly at the camera, lock all the doors and windows and close all the lights. You might hear screaming, roaring, and screeching from the outside. Once it's been a minute since the sounds have ceased, turn the lights back on and continue with your job. Rule number 6. If you hear people in the main dining area, do not check that out. No one is there. Since the place will be locked, it's just another distraction by the creature lurking nearby. Hi, Kiki. Sorry, guys. She's very needy this evening. Rule number 7. If the lights go out by themselves, chop off a toe or a finger and place it on the drive-thru counter and duck behind it. You'll hear low growls followed by a quick snatching sound. Get up once the lights are back and check the counter. If your finger or toe is missing, congratulations, you're gonna live to see another day. If the finger or toe is still there, just pray to God it kills you quickly and doesn't take its time cherishing your screams. God, that's creepy. Rule number 8. It is advised you do not sleep because then you can miss your name being called or the 5-year-old girl or the laughing and talking sounds of people in the dining area, which can cost you your life. I was puzzled. If this was a joke, it was a terrible one, I thought to myself. Just before noticing movement in one of the bushes in the drive-thru, you know how you think you can be brave and fight through the fear during a fight or flight situation? Well, nope, your body actually seizes up when facing the fear head-on without warning. Somewhere in my heart, I believed that this list was fake or an elaborate prank, but I didn't want to take any chances, so I decided to comply with the rules. For the first hour of the night, literally nothing paranormal happened. I didn't even get a customer till then. This will be easy, I sighed and thought to myself. Flipping through the cameras every 20 minutes, I almost didn't notice the little girl peeking through a bush. Her eye sockets were devoid of eyes. I looked at them, and they seemed devoid of any human emotion. They were evil in a way. The more I looked in them, the more I wanted to cry. I was so fixated, I almost forgot to switch the lights off, but remembered Rule 5. I got under the counter after switching off the lights. I heard something slam against the left wall of the booth, like something big had lashed out and tried to break through the wall. Then I heard quick footsteps, followed by the cries of a little girl. The cries kept on increasing in intensity to the point where I thought I would actually go deaf. I covered my ears, but could obviously still hear her cries. The cries ceased within 30 seconds, and I heard a low growl. The growl was followed by the sounds of roaring and slashing of meat. The sounds were so disgusting that I threw up all over the floor. After collecting myself mentally, then got up and turned the lights back on. I cleaned the puke and contemplated what I had just been through. Before I was even finished thinking about this, I heard people talking. The noise was very distant. I couldn't make out any words, just laughs, giggles, and overlapping voices. The night was eerily silent, so I could hear every little thing that went bump in the night. I was just about to go check it out. Then I remembered some rules regarding the specific event. I reread the list and found it. It was rule number 6. I had to just ignore it and it'd go away, and so I did. I put on my earphones and started with some schoolwork. Almost 1 hour passed, nothing happened. When finally a customer came through the drive-thru, I served them and was happy there was actually people starting to come now. I saw another car pulling up. I was really happy now. I and said, "I know you're in there. Are you deaf? Mother effer." I didn't reply and kept my cool. 10 minutes later, it was gone. My shift is over. Now I'm sitting here typing this, contemplating if this job is really worth $200 a day or not. I wanted to quit, but the guy begged me not to, and that he would double my pay, since I was so good at it. But I don't want to risk my life again. Whew, that was crazy, guys. I know it's probably, just fake, whatever, but it was definitely a creepy one. Definitely a creepy one. Okay, here's the next one. It's called The Motel Clock. Dear Diary, I was startled awake by the sound of breaking glass, where it was unknown to me, and I was scared to find out what it was. I wondered who it could be inside my house, why they were doing it, where they were doing it, why they were doing it also scared me. Was it somebody I bullied in high school? Was it the nerd I thought was a creep? It sounded like it came from the kitchen. I ripped the sheets off me and crept to my doorway. The door was wide open. Light came into the bedroom from the kitchen. I always left my kitchen light on at night. I wasn't expecting a robber tonight, though, or a possible killer. I crept out the doorway, being careful not to make a sound, my heart ready to explode. My footsteps were the loudest sound, and they were quiet. Then I heard the shuffling sound, also the knife scraping against curtains, ripping them up, and making the pieces that were left of it fall to the ground and make no possible sound. He also smashed my living room lamp on the table beside the couch onto the ground, obviously trying to wake me. Little did he know I already was awake. The curtains didn't work. Now he is trying harder to find me. I saw a man in all black with a knife in his hand. Luckily, the darkness of the hallway made me seem invisible, and the slightest sound would indicate exactly where I was and who I am. This man in my house looked at the hallway, not at me, and came charging for me. How could he not look at me and come charging for me? Maybe I was too close to the point he could see Pete sticking out and into the dimly lit living room where he was cutting things and making a lot of noise that annoyed the crap out of me. I backed away when a hand grabbed my neck. He slammed me into the shut door of the bathroom and put the hunting knife he held up to my neck. I struggled to get away. I was terrified. My heart already could have exploded, like how I said before, but it didn't. "You stay quiet. Who else lives with you?" he asked me, his voice deep and horrifying. He was demanding something harsh that scared me. This man could kill me. "No one," I said, struggling to make a sound. "You're lucky. Only one person will be butchered tonight, and that is you," he spat. He raised the knife and tried to stab me. I kneed him in the stomach, and he tumbled down to the wooden floor. I ran to my phone in my bedroom and dialed 000. They answered. 000, how may I help you?" the woman on the other side asked. "A man broke into my house," I struggled to say from the overwhelming fear that made my lungs warm up and made it a struggle to breathe. "What's your address?" the woman asked. I told her my address, and soon enough I heard the police banging at the door like a rabid dog. I unlocked the door for them to come in, and they saw the man passed out on the floor unconscious. They all looked at me. "You'll have to tell us what happened," one police officer said. I told him what happened, and he told me to go get a motel for a few nights, and he would clean up the place with some detectives. It was ironic that the man was dressed in all black like in movies I have seen. It was an hour later, and in the motel I saw a clock on the wall that hadn't changed one hour back from when it was supposed to. I changed it, and suddenly my head went weak, my legs felt numb, and I felt wind blowing on me. I slammed back and saw many colors. They traveled around me and swirled through my eyes. When it was over, I was in my house again with the robber, but for some reason I was in my bed now, and the door was open. I knew I had to shut it carefully and called the police. That didn't happen since he was looking over me, waiting for me to scream so then he could strike his knife and slice my belly up into pieces. His hand was over my mouth as I tried screaming, but all that came out was a whisper of fear. His hand was cold and firm on my lips as he squeezed them together. My throat hurt badly from screaming my heart out, and I needed to get out. Again, I kicked him in the stomach, and he tumbled to the ground, but we weren't in the hallway. We were in my bedroom, like I said before. His body slammed to the ground with a loud smack, and I ran out of my bedroom. I ran saw me running. They asked me what was wrong, and I told them everything that happened. They didn't believe that I was transported back into the situation, and when I led them to the house, they saw 2 bodies. That man had no twin. The police were obviously confused with the 2 bodies. I was let off with self-defense. This whole situation scared the hell out of me, and I can tell next year it'll happen again. Very creepy, very creepy, very creepy, very creepy. Okay, I think I have time for one more story for you guys, and if you want me to do a part 2, I can definitely do that. So this last one is called Read Between the Lines. Part of me thinks I couldn't live without her. The other part knows I couldn't, or maybe that I won't. I met Sophia in college. We were taking the same public speaking class. Ever the introvert, I sat in the back and kept my head down, but she saw something she liked in me, and she went and grabbed it. My attention was hers the second she introduced herself to me. I couldn't look away. I couldn't stop listening. We quickly started dating. I was infatuated with her. I had never felt anything like it. The spell she cast on me held me tighter than any hug a mother could give you. She loved me more than my parents did, I swear. She told me herself. Learning more about her is all I ever wanted, but sometimes she was a mystery. Some nights she'd stay at my place and we'd cook and watch a movie together. Other nights I wouldn't hear from her at all, but she'd wake up in my bed. It's always a shock when you wake up next to someone when you went to bed alone the night before. She said it was normal, so who was I to say otherwise? Sophia was always right. I wasn't going to argue with her. Eventually, the infatuation began to fade into a much more real and positive love. Sophia and I are so happy together. Nothing makes me happier than making her happy. That's what makes it so hard when she leaves. When she's sad, she's gone. She assures me it's never my fault, but I can't help but wonder what I'm doing, what I'm not doing, She says I'm doing nothing wrong, but what am I not doing right? Anytime I find myself alone, I think of ways to make her stay. When she comes back, and every time I wake up next to her, her hair all messy, her pajamas smelling like clean laundry and bleach. But today I woke up alone. I didn't see her curled up next to me. I didn't smell the bleach on her clothes. I sat up in bed, dejected. Sophia didn't come home for 2 weeks. She never left for that long. I was beginning to worry about who hurt her. That was the only excuse. Someone had to have hurt her, right? She said she'd never leave me. She said she'd always be mine. Well, actually, she said I'd always be hers, but it's the same thing, right? Yeah, of course it is. She finally came home and she looked tired. I never asked her where she went. I made that mistake once and learned very quickly that she didn't like to talk about her hobbies, but I wanted to make sure she'd always come back. I proposed on the spot. Engaged, I couldn't believe it. I was engaged to the most amazing woman I knew. She said yes and put the ring on her finger after she washed her hands. Maybe I should have let her take a shower before I popped the question. She always had to shower the second she got home. But I couldn't wait. I was over the moon. She was content. I think that's when it hit me. She was only content. What the hell did I need to do for her? Why wasn't I good enough? Her attitude left so much to be desired. Where was she going? What was she doing? Why doesn't she love me the way I love her? Something is up. I tried to piece it together, but I couldn't come up with anything. She didn't have any friends I could contact, or at least she never mentioned any. I never met any of her family. Come to think of it, she didn't own many things. She pretty much lived with me, but never bought anything more than a toothbrush and some clothes. The only thing I knew about her was how awful her ex-boyfriends had been to her. She had so many exes, and each one was worse than the last. Evidently, that's what made me think something truly awful might be going on. What's that saying? If everyone else is the problem, maybe you are. There's no way she had that many bad relationships, and not a single one was her fault. It just didn't add up. I decided to confront her about this. She didn't like it. Sophia left, and I thought that was it. I thought that maybe I was close to figuring out some secret, and she got a little too emotional to put up with me and my questions. Later that night, I woke up to the sound of the shower. I was going to ignore it, but I thought I heard crying. I walk into the bathroom and open the shower curtain to find Sophia sitting in the shower, her knees presence was significant to her. She looked scared yet relieved to see me. I asked her who hurt her, trying to control my anger, but she shook her head. She said nobody hurt her. She said she did not. She did something bad. She said she killed her ex-boyfriend. She said she's been killing her ex-boyfriends for a long time. She said they were awful and jealous and they wanted to hurt her, so she killed them. People are complex. I could have cut and run from Sophia. What she had told me was truly horrifying. How did I know I wasn't next? Well, she told me. Why would she tell me all that if it was on her list? If I was on her list? No, I couldn't be. Sophia trusted me. She wanted me in her life. She loved me. She would never do anything to hurt me. She would do anything to keep me with her. I was Sophia's forever. Maybe I'm crazy for staying, but I've never felt like this before. It's intoxicating, really. Sophia doesn't leave anymore. I like to think it's because she wants to spend all her time with me, but I also think that she's finished all her work. Sophia doesn't leave at all, actually. Even now, she sat at my foot on the opposite side of the couch reading. She keeps looking up at me and smiling. She's reading one of my many notes that I leave for her. Sometimes they're poems, sometimes it's just a little reminder that I'm not leaving. I like to leave little hidden messages in the notes, sometimes to see if she could read between the lines. One time I made so many words a certain color and they made another note entirely. Sometimes I just make a phrase with the first letter of every paragraph. She still hasn't caught on to any of the secret messages, but that's okay. I still know I couldn't and won't live without her, not if she has anything to say about it. That's creepy. That's very creepy. I'm trying to sorry guys, I'm trying to read through the story and see if there's any hidden messages or anything, but I don't, I'm not seeming to see any of that. But anyway, I think I'm going to end this one here. Definitely some creepy stuff. I can definitely do more for you guys if you are interested, so please let me know. Please leave a comment down below letting me know what you would like to see next. A mic triggers video will be coming soon as well. So anyway, I hope that you have a